It's all for you. Yeah, yo. There whenever it matters, and even more when you feel like it doesn't. Protect you so you never feel like you wasn't. Know I'm right alongside you. Either that or I'm behind you, but always got you. End of discussion, nothing means more. First one to offer is shoulders for what you reach for. Thought I saw the eyes of the world until I seen yours. And know that I ain't see a better view yet. I'm with whatever, so don't ever you fret. Know that you covered, not a hurdle or a heartbreak. A change what a partake, cause none of them won't ever get comfortable in your walkway. My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
He's a barber who pays young customers for getting a haircut. $3. The barber behind the buzz on today's Good Start. Hey guys, and welcome to Good Start. I'm Sally Turner. Fear of public speaking or glossophobia affects 75% of the population. But one barber is on a mission to change that for every young boy or girl who enters his business, one book at a time. Barber Jon Escueta takes a bit off the top and even more off the tab.
You get to take this home.
At his Pennsylvania barbershop, City Cuts, Jon is handing out money to young clients for reading books aloud while they get some seriously stylish haircuts.
I'll need a back tie to catch this crook.
But these kids are walking away with much more than a fresh cut and cold, hard cash.
Pretty much any kid who comes in, as soon as they get in the chair, we try to get them to read a book.
Jon says he created Books by Kids to help boys and girls become better public speakers. From toddler to teen, outgoing or shy, kids are encouraged and assisted in their reading by every City Cuts barber.
What does that look like? What does that look like to you? Yeah, to me it looks like French fries.
And we try to not make it seem like it's a task, rather than just more of an interaction with the barber and the child.
I got this and $3.
Rewards can be anything from $3 to some candy,
Cash.
or a book to take home.
Yeah, let's do the peace sign.
But most importantly, kids leave feeling more confident about public speaking and with improved reading skills.
It's changing lives. The kids are speaking up more. We're kicking that shyness out of the way. So that's the main thing. It's working.
Jon immigrated from the Philippines at the age of 8 and knew almost no English.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was very, very shy and afraid to speak up, just because I was afraid of what my peers or other adults were thinking about, like how I say certain words.
Jon, who is also a middle school basketball coach, came up with the idea for Books by Kids when helping his players become more confident.
The kids on our team were afraid to speak up to each other during the games and practices. We would pick a player and have him speak up to his team like he was like a mini coach.
What's that?
They started speaking up because it just became normal.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I figured why not bring it here to a younger audience, a younger age, so that by the time they get to 7th and 8th grade, they wouldn't be afraid to communicate with each other or any adults.
The Cape Crusader.
8-year-old Connor says Books by Kids has changed his life.
I get to learn a lot about stuff like history or something.
Yeah?
I was going to do Jackie Robinson, Alexander Hamilton, or Babe. In school, I raised my hand a lot more for reading.
Connor and his favourite barber, Jerry, have become so close that they each keep a framed photo of the moment that bonded them forever after. This video of Connor reading to Jerry went viral last year. That's when donations started to pour in from schools, libraries and fans.
Dr. Seuss.
Now the barbershop owns more books than Clippers.
We have at least, I want to say 3,000 or 4,000.
These generous donations will come in handy for all the new kid clients looking for a cut above the rest.
Now we're going through 10 to 15 kids a week, if not more.
City Cuts hope other salons and barbershops adopt the same program.
I just hope people take advantage of that opportunity to help, because you never know who that person could be our next president.
We feel like if they do it in their own community, the more kids who are willing to speak up and read, the better our world will be.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ishmael from Dad Is Not a Noun. I have another great episode today. We're going to talk about barbershop and books. They go together. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. My co-host for today is the one and only Cole Williams. How you doing, brother?
Good, brother. Glad to be in the space with you again.
I love you, man. Don't be modest. Tell people about yourself.
Yep. So I'm Cole Williams. I got a superhero book called The Fatherhood. And the concept is really about changing the narrative about how we see fathers, but most importantly, how we see men of color. So I'm excited to be here just to talk about the importance of the barber and the barbershop and its impact on people across the country, really, when we think about it.
And then also our special guest is doing that right now in my backyard, Kutztown, PA. I live in Bethlehem, so not too far from each other.
Right.
Just amazing brother. Jon and his squad has been shaping heads and hearts since 2006 at his barbershop, the City Cuts Barbershop. But more importantly, he created this program called Books by Kids, which empowers kids to find their voice through reading books, but at the same time, getting a fresh cut. Jon, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Man, I appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to get the word out.
Since 2006, man, that's awesome, because that's the important thing. The barbershop, like the church, is the staple of the community.
Correct.
It's important. But before we get into that, people act like the pandemic never existed. So my question to you two brothers is, what have you learned about yourself that you didn't know? Now you know about yourself through the pandemic.
Man, well, I guess I'll kick it off. I mean, I knew I was suffering from anxiety, but once the pandemic hit, it really kicked in a large amount. And so it really forced me to have to do some internal work with seeking even like a therapist and in terms of, and even therapy, and also even looking at medication to help balance my anxiety. Prior to that, the way I handled my anxiety was just work. But this pandemic has forced me actually to sit still myself, but most importantly, do something about what I'm hearing as it relates to my own self-care and my mental health. So the pandemic has definitely shifted me into doing more for myself, and I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, that's what it's done for me.
For myself, I felt like I needed to slow down on some things. Those 3.5 months kind of gave me a real perspective on what's really, really important, which is obviously family, spending time, quality time with my kids and my wife. And, having a business, it's very demanding. But that pandemic really just showed me like, man, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to like have a week off and then just not do anything and just chill around and quality time with your kids and your family and really get to know them and sit down with them and just watch what they watch. Just be in tune with what they're doing rather than just up and going and just going about your day to day. So I learned to really take my time on some things and just try to get involved in whatever they're doing so we could have that common connection.
And that's one thing too, is important, is that common connection, especially the barbershop. What made you want to own your own barbershop?
It was quite a few things. First was when I was in high school, I knew my place in school per se, as far as being in the classroom, wasn't a place for me. It wasn't like I was a bad student. I think I was a pretty good student, but it didn't make any sense for me to learn something that I had no interest in. Especially doing any like research papers. It was, to me, like I wasn't gonna ever use that in whatever field that I wanted to go into. And not having a boss, that was a big part of it. Not answering to anybody. I like being inside. I don't want to work outside. The weather had a lot to do with that. And I love watching sports. So, sports is on TV all day, so I could watch that all day and just be entertained by that. So there's a few factors, but the main thing is I just didn't want to go to college route. I didn't think it'd make any sense for me to go to college route and be in debt to accumulate that and not be happy with what you're doing every day. So barbering, as I looked at as art, and that kind of just took it away from me where, it was simple. It wasn't that difficult to think about.
Was there a time in your period where was there a mentor that you saw haircut and you're like, I want to do that?
Growing up in the inner city of Allentown, obviously, you go to different barber shops and you kind of get a feel for it. But there was a barber teacher named Mr. Clyde. If you're from Allentown, his name ring bells around now. So he taught a lot of barbers, from Allentown, Bethlehem to Easton. So he's been around. He taught me the business side of it and how to deal with people. And I wasn't a people person at first. I was very quiet, timid, not wanting to talk. Obviously the public speaking aspect of it was scary at times. It's just, open up to some stranger and it's like you're not knowing them. It's like, but in turn, once you learn how to speak to people, that could be the greatest gift. They have something that you don't have. You could learn from them. And once I kind of learned that from him, it was just game on. So it was a little easier.
That's awesome. Cole, the man with the gift of speaking, you got a question for him?
Yeah, I was gonna just say, man, like, I have a speech impediment on top of the fact that I'm really a introvert, and so
Right.
it literally listening to you, my work forced me to like go into speaking because I wanted to be in the background, but it wouldn't allow me to do that.
Right.
So I think that that's really amazing, brother. So one of the questions I have is really about understanding the culture of the barbershop because it's a culture within itself. When you think about your barbershop, how would you describe the culture of your place?
First and foremost, we want when like anybody that walks in our shop, we want to make them to feel as comfortable as possible. That's the foremost. So everyone's saying hi, especially the to young mothers out there, that come in. Sometimes they get a bad rap for going into the shop. So we want to make them to feel like they're on top of the world. Even the little kids and the little boys that come in, everybody giving fist pumps. Just to make them feel like, yo, this is a cool place. Everybody saying hi to me. It's not one of those places where I don't know you when you walk in, type of feel. So that to me is very important, and just making them just feel like they're one of us. Even though we just met them, we make them feel like they're one of us. Even like a strike up a little conversation or just compliment them on whatever they got on. Something to oh yeah, he noticed me. Just
Yeah.
little things like that. It goes a long way.
Yeah. And I asked that question because one of the things that resonated with me when you were talking was this idea of like finding your voice. And I've
Right.
learned that in the barbershop it's so necessary when anybody walks in. It could be really intimidating to walk
Oh
into
yeah.
a barbershop, especially if it's a
Oh
new one and you
definitely.
don't know anybody. And then
Yeah.
having to walk in and then use your voice to say, hey, I need a cut. Who do I go to? Like it's a
Right.
whole
Yeah.
process. So I think knowing what the culture is can really, solidify if I'm gonna go, if I'm gonna stay, or if I'm gonna just kind of walk past the barbershop altogether. So I think
Right.
that's brilliant, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that comfortable feeling of, going to something new. Obviously, we all felt that. When you're a kid, when you walk into something, you be like, oh, I don't know about this place, or they're not talking to me, or they're not even saying hi to me. That alone, like, I probably don't want to go back. But once you open up to them and say, hey, what's going on, man? Oh, I like your shoes. Right then and there, I'm like, oh, they notice me. I'm a person. That right there just opens up a dialogue to make it a little easier for them to just be themselves then after that.
Yeah.
And then the first year or 2 years of the barbershop, was there some struggles where you felt like, I don't know if this is gonna work out, or was it just, you know what, you just kept going, everything was all good and you just kept going?
No, because I kind of opened up so when I opened up, I was 20 years old, very young. I'm in a college town, and I was by myself at first. And all I knew was kind of just put in the work, just be there. People will come eventually. I say the first year was like rough. All I wanted was let me just get enough to make my first month's rent, and then the next month, and then the following month. If I could do that and pay my bills, then I'll be fine. I'll be happy. I wasn't trying to make crazy amount of money. I just want to be able to do things on my own without somebody telling me what to do, and to just pretty much just chill and watch sports and just talk to people as much as I can. But the first year is definitely a struggle. But after that, once you're there every day, they know you. It's pretty much, business as usual, as they say.
And then also, owning a barbershop, you're a mentor to a lot of the guys that you hire. So just
Right.
talk about that process, that mindset as a
Uh,
mentor, as you.
Um, to me, it's pretty simple. It's you just want to give back to somebody that as hungry as you are. If you see their grind and they do want to be there, obviously it takes like a certain amount of time to get there. You're not going to give everybody an opportunity because they don't deserve that. But once they kind of pass that test for you, everybody has their own test. Once they pass that test for you, to me, it's like he has something that I don't have, and then I'm gonna give him an opportunity like this, and maybe he'll do something great with it, or if not, just provide for his family. So to me, that was the biggest thing is just being able to open that door for someone who was interested in the trade.
John, let me ask you this: what's been an eye opener for you as it relates to how you envisioned this barbershop being when you first started, and then where you are now? Have there been any like nuggets of like eye opening moments where like, man, this is what I envisioned, but this is where I'm at, and I can't. My mind is blown by it.
It wasn't really any eye opening, but it was just more of like the day to day stuff, or like month to month, year to year, like the trends that change. I know part of me when I was growing up as a kid, what I saw was, some shops that I've seen that are like very successful, they all have that camaraderie part of it. Like
Mm.
all the guys will get along, they joke on each other, and to me that was just like being part of a team, like and any basketball team or football team or soccer team, like that camaraderie of the boys is talking about each other and making fun of them, but then still handling the business. That to me was great. Like it reminded me of like the locker room of any sports that you play. So that part was a little easier, but then the trends, how it changed from certain type of haircuts or the environment that it's in the shop. Those can change from like every 5 to 10 years. So I think that to me was just having that vision and keeping up with it rather than sticking with what and that's it. So adapting to change is, I think, the biggest thing.
And then also, I love how you applied when you were a basketball coach for kids, and you apply that to your program,
Right.
Book by Kids. Talk about that being that coach, that again, that mentor aspect, and
Right.
how you were able to apply that with the program.
Well, the basketball part of it was, I have the passion for the game. I love, the game of basketball. And for me to be able to give back to these kids, I mean, I don't want to say the right way, but kind of like my way of playing basketball, respecting the game, having self-discipline and just giving maximum effort for whatever you're doing at that moment in time. Um, it was these kids that been coaching for about 3 or 4 years, and they still had problems communicating with their teammates, on the basketball court. But off the court, they could talk many hours, laugh and joke. But then when it's time to ball up, it's like, I don't want to tell him what to do. I'm scared of what he's going to say to me, type of feel. So we pretty much just gave him a platform as far as you're a mini coach. I'm going to tell you what to do, and you have to relay it to your players. Now they have to listen to you. Now you're forced to speak up about a play, about a practice, about something, so all eyes are on you. So you're practicing that while you're talking to them. So I figured, man, that because it worked with them. They were in seventh grade, eighth grade, and they got really comfortable with it enough to where they're telling their teammates on the court, what to do, and there was no hard feelings. So I
Wow.
figured if I could get the seventh and eighth grade boys to do that, and we start a lot younger, by the time they get to that age, it'll be a little easier for them to speak to their coach or their parents or their teachers or any adult because they're already used to it. So that's how I kind of had the idea of starting the books by kids because of basketball and the kids.
That's dope. Cole, you got another question, brother?
Yeah, I was gonna say too, John. Can you talk a little bit about, because we mentioned mentorship, but both me and Ishmael around Dad is Not a Noun really do a lot of work with celebrating and uplifting and giving the importance of fathers. Can you speak to what you're seeing in your barbershop as it relates to fathers and men? Because I know earlier you talked about just making sure the culture is safe for moms. But
Right.
what's your vision in terms of what you're seeing as it relates to the culture of fathers in your space?
I mean, there's a lot of fathers that are bringing their sons in. That aspect is cool. But the ones that we really want to target is the kids that don't have the fathers that have the single mom or the grandmother taking them. all right, I know, your dad's not taking you, but we'll kind of take on that role model aspect. Anytime you need anything, please come to us. We won't shut the door on you. I built a basketball court right in the back of the shop just for kids to kind of hang out in, just so that they have a safe place to come through. Rather than, this is not just a business, but we want to be able to make our community a lot safer and a lot better. And how do we do that? By starting with us. It started with me, and then all my barbers, they pretty much follow suit. And we know the end game is to impact as many lives as we can, especially if you're younger and you don't have that role model. I've I've been a role model to kids who've been, I started kind of when like they're 7 and 8. Now they have their kids on their own.
Wow.
And I'm still teaching them. I'm like, listen, the right things to do is you be there for your kid as much as you can.
Yeah.
They still struggle with that here and there, but hearing that voice and hearing someone telling them like this is the things to go about, it just makes it all like, oh yeah, you're right. I gotta be there. So it kind of holds them accountable because somebody's telling them, yo, you messing up right now.
Yeah.
You got to get back on track.
Yeah.
So that part of it is just rewarding itself that, they're making that changes by listening to us. So, and then we have to be the example. We have to lead by example. So if we're not doing the things right way, they're going to look at us like, oh, you guys are just lying. No, this is true and true each and every day. This is what you had to do.
And can you tell us a story of a kid that you mentored and they just came back to you like, oh, just want to let you know I got all A's. I made the honor roll. Can you
Yeah,
tell a story?
there's a few. There's one that really sticks to me that he's like Cole is like introverted, not wanting to say anything. He used to come in with his mom, and one time I think he was around like a fifth grader, I want to say, and he read, like maybe like just a sentence one time, and I'm just like, that's good enough for me because at least you tried, you put the effort in. That takes a lot for somebody who doesn't
Yeah.
talk. He usually has headphones in while he's waiting for to get in my chair. So I kind of eased his way into reading, just like, oh, what's that? What's the first word? Then after that, he just read the sentence. So the next time he came back, he read like a few chapters.
Wow.
And then the following time he came back, he probably read at least like half of the book. I mean, it wasn't a thick book, but in 20 minutes, he was progressing. So
Wow.
now he's all the way in high school. Obviously they don't want to read anymore, but just for me to kind of get the initial start and then for him to progress and to not be shy at all, that was just it kind of, put a little tear in my eye a little bit. I was just like, man, it does work.
Right.
Stuff like that, it does. So hopefully he'll take that, whatever he learned, and just continue moving forward. And now he's not shy to talk to anybody that walks in the shop. He says out of all the barbers. So that impact alone right there was just made me like, man, really smile at the end of the day, man. I know we made a difference.
And then also talk about the culture aspect because I know, you set goals. Like if you read the book, we'll give you
Right.
$3. Talk about that factor.
Well,
Wow.
that $3 is just it's just a little incentive to me. What's $3 if you could impact a kid with their confidence?
Yeah.
$3 can go a long way. And they're looking at it as like, oh, I earned $3. This is my first job or what. We kind of joke around, oh, you want to get a job? Here, put the book in your hand. This is your first job. It's just for them to kind of be like, oh, I could spend this money on something rather than, not getting anything for it. I feel like if you do something good, sometimes that reward will kind of push you towards keep on doing the same thing or progressing to do something better. So that's all we wanted to do was, and I know $3 ain't a lot, but it's enough for kids to be able to be like, yeah, I want to read, so just a little incentive.
John, look, my question to you is, what's the community response? How are schools aware? Like, can you walk me through like how is the community responding to? I mean, this honestly, what you're doing is revolutionary. But I got another thought, but I want you to give me that answer first. So, but yeah,
Okay.
how's the
The
responding to
community,
it?
so like around, I started, I think in like 2017.
Okay.
Just I bought a box of candy, it kind of started a fundraiser off. We're starting the book about kids. There's a box of candy. If you put $1 in, obviously take candy out, but these are going towards the kids. So the first few months, I mean, it was definitely slow, but we got a kid here and there. And then we went viral, I think around 29, like January 2019.
Okay.
And that really took off because all over the world they were posting and reposting it. We went from, I think, having like 1 million views to like 9 million views on one video within like a week span. So we were getting books from all over, like England, Brazil, like India, New Zealand, Australia. They were just sending so much stuff that I couldn't keep up with all the demand. You
Yeah.
know, and me going through that first time, it was just like, whoa, this is an eye opening. Like, how do I handle this at that moment in time? So sitting back at it, having a few years of it, and it's like having that experience. You know, now it's a little easier for me to kind of have my other barbers here. You talk to that person. You know, you had a part in here too, not just myself.
Yeah.
So here you can handle that podcast, or here handle that interview.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me was just rewarding for them to kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm part of the program too, and I'm making that impact too. Not just, you know, John, Jerry's involved, Rudy's involved, Gio's involved. All our guys that are wanting to be it. You know,
Wow.
they have no problem speaking and talking, so it makes them, you know, more the merrier for me.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if this is a question as much as I guess it's a statement with the stats that talk about fourth grade reading scores can predetermine whether or not we look at young people entering into the criminal justice system or the school to pipeline. I think that what you're
Okay.
doing is, I mean, extremely revolutionary because we know that if kids struggle with reading, they're going to have a lot of behavior problems in school.
Right.
So the
Yep.
fact that they're sitting in the chair getting a haircut while at the same time getting the support that relates to reading is, man, it's just, yeah, it's revolutionary. So part of me just wonders if you know how, I feel like you know, but I wonder if you know the power of what you and your team are actually doing.
It's like here and there. You know, you don't
Yeah,
want to stay too much on, oh, this is what we did,
yeah,
because every day is a new day for us to keep on working towards that.
yeah,
You know, we want to be humbled as far as we are making a difference, but there's a lot more kids that need our help. So if
yeah,
we stuck to that, like, you know, every day is a brand new kid that comes in, we want to be able to have an impact on his life, you know, going forward. But I know our community is small. We're not that big. We're in Kutztown. So I was hoping that more barbershops would kind of adopt something, and not, it doesn't necessarily have to be mine, but something that, you know, will impact their community. Because we can't impact, you know, cities out in California, obviously. But if the barbershop right then and there are doing something about it, then they can impact their community. All it is, we want a better world for our kids.
yeah.
So if we continue to do the work, and I'm hoping, you know, a lot more people will kind of just follow suit, or have their own thing.
So I got another question.
All right, man, fire away.
No, because this is really important when I think about it. Is there a barbershop coalition where there are barbers within your community, within the county, within the state that, you know, talk about the issues that barbers are faced with? But I keep asking, I'm like, where is that community of barbers? But I want to, yeah. So what's your thought about that? And is that something you think?
It's I think breaking that narrative as far as barbershops, you know how it is in the inner city. Sometimes it's like more of a competitive thing where, nah, I don't want to mess with you guys because you guys will get your own shop. I think now it's changing with definitely social media. Going to these expos.
Okay.
You know, the barber events. We went to ones in New York. Obviously in Connecticut was the real big one, but they don't have per se like a community as far as what can we do to impact our our community within our community type of feel. It's more of like just a brand global thing, you know, just the barbershop culture alone, but nothing as far as different programs that they're doing. So I'm trying to work with some other people to kind of get things started on my end. I know it's very small, you know, but it's a it's a step going towards that. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, the high powered barbershop, the ones that's a real popular or got millions of followers, they're more of a business, you know, part of it. Can they impact lives? They can, as much as they can. But for me to reach out to somebody like that, I think sometimes it just gets a little skewed. So I'd rather start small
Yeah.
and then work my way, you know what I'm saying, up to eventually, if I get the opportunity, yes. But right now, it's just they probably won't even look at your messages, or they won't even contact you, because they're probably thinking you're trying to do something for yourself, trying to get put on, that type of feel to it. So I'd rather be organic
Yeah.
in that way rather than forcing the program to the big guys per se.
Well, I feel like that's the secret sauce, John, because that's exactly what you did in terms of what we're talking about today in terms of the books. I mean, you started small, I mean, and look at what you've been able to do now. So yeah.
Yeah, man, it's amazing work, bro. And then
Thank you.
also, you're not that far from Kutztown University. Has Kutztown reach out to you, maybe doing
Oh
like
yeah.
some partnership? Talk about that.
Not so much of a partnership, but they're a great resource for us. Anytime we need anything, I could go to. I cut the president's hair of the university. I cut their CFO. We talk a lot about ideas as far as what can we do to kind of work together here and there. And even like the Kutztown community, we work close with the library here. They're the ones who really started with us. They gave us the set of books to start off with,
Wow.
and they were just doing it just because they wanted more books out on the streets. And I figured, man, let's just use this to put this to use. I feel like the university and the town itself go kind of hand in hand.
Right.
So they do recognize what we're doing, and they're very proud of what we're doing, and I'm hoping that we can continue working with that relationship with them, down the line, something bigger and better if we can.
And I hopefully too, because Kutztown is a good university.
Yeah.
And then what I love about your culture too is that it's so diverse. Because sometimes when you think of the
Right.
barbershop,
Right.
we're often segregated a
Yep.
lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
like seeing your barbershop, you see black kids, Latino, white, Asian, you see all types of kids. So just talk
Right.
about that.
Well, all the barbers are different. I'm Filipino, obviously. The barber manager, he's been my best friend since we were 4 years old. I mean, fourth grade. He's black. We have a Haitian barber. We have another barber who's from Guatemala, and then we have two white barbers that just kind of got on. So we're very diverse in there, and we just want people like I said, that welcoming feeling, just that comfortable space for them to be in. So if we're all different, and to me, this is a representation of America.
Yeah.
We are a melting pot. So why not? In Kutztown, it's town country. Pretty much it's really rural around here, and you're between Allentown and Reading.
Mm.
So for you to kind of get that diversity in the middle of Allentown and Reading, which is about 45 minutes away from each other, I think we definitely made our spot. And again, just being able to have anybody that walk in there and feel comfortable is our biggest thing. That to me, well, we won already by making them feel comfortable. Any race, any color, any gender, how old they are, doesn't matter. Kids from 1 years old to our clients are like 90 something years old. Different colors, different shapes, different sizes, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel comfortable in the shop, we did our job.
Yeah.
And you have, man, since 2006. That's amazing, man.
Right.
That's amazing work.
That's amazing.
Before we end the show, Brother Cole, you got one more question? Because you look excited right there.
Yeah, man. I was just going. Look,
Like this could go on for hours.
John, I don't know what's your connection with the foster care system. Are you connected with the foster care system at all?
We do. Are you familiar with Kids Piece at all?
No.
Have you heard of Kids Piece?
No.
So Kids Piece is somewhat like pretty much like a shelter for young adults. Ranges from I think like I want to say 7 to all the way to 18 or like 21 years old.
Okay.
So a few of my barbers over there, I started it. They started cutting hair over there also. So they do go paying like once a month or once every other, as long as they get about, I say 7 to like 10 kids that they cut. Different houses got different kids. Obviously, depends on the situation. That one house might be able to get it done that day, and the following house it depends on the situation in that house. Because sometimes it's really, I don't want to say too bad, but it's dangerous for just people to just walk in there.
Yeah.
And that alone right there is like they're not there for months at a time. They're there sometimes years. They grew up with no parents or they got in trouble. So it's like pretty much like a step away from prison, kind of like not necessarily a foster care, but like a just
it's a
not
residential.
prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So and we do work up there. We do a lot of community events as far as back to school haircuts. We try to give back as much as we can to unfortunate situations with certain families. We try to give back. We can give back book bags with school supplies in it. We did that in the past. Obviously, the pandemic had a lot to do with not us doing it, but hopefully we can continue that next year. So we already missed 2 years, and it kind of bears down on me a little bit that we weren't able to do it each and every year. So
Yeah, and I ask that, John, only because in my experience with working with barbers and being connected with barbers, there's more to the barber than just being in the chair and or standing over in the chair and providing a service. That barbers do a host of a range of a variety of things within the community, and I don't think that's always told. I don't think the barber's narrative is always highlighted in a way. So I mean, that's why I love that what it's just doing here, because again, it gives every opportunity to truly see the diversity of a barber itself. So I have nothing but to say, man, thank you for the work that you are continuously doing to make a difference, not only in your community, but by having this conversation with us. It's a reminder and an inspiration for us to do the same thing with the barbers in our community. So thank you, brother. Thank you for the work.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, man. And let's continue to do the work, as said for us, and then just make an impact on these kids, man. That's what it's all about to me. So keep doing what you guys are doing, man, and hopefully we'll connect, in person someday.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. But before we end this show, Cole, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know I got emotional when you finally got that fatherhood copies printed. So I'm reaching out to you to see, can you send a copy to John?
Absolutely. That was our
appreciate that.
Yeah, you got a poster and a comic book. Yeah, brother. That was so no. We on the same wave.
But on that note, this was another amazing episode of Dad Is Not a Noun. Again, we changed the narrative of the barbershop or the barber on this episode. John, how can people find you?
Usually just on the website, usually at citycutsbarbershop.com or our IG handle is City Cuts Barbershop. It's you can find us pretty much on social media. Give us a call. Our number is 484-646-9699. If you just want to speak to us and just give your thoughts as far as what can we do to make it better. If anybody else has any ideas, please, man, reach out. I want everyone to feel like they're part of it, not just us in here. So everyone can do something, then let's make it happen.
Definitely. And Cole, how can people find you?
They can find me at Cole Speaks on IG. They can also find the comic book series on IG, the father_hood on IG. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Yes.
And any websites or anything?
Oh man, the Delta Project. You can go to the Delta Project. More about my nonprofit organization that tells the stories of incarcerated youth that we support and work with here in Michigan. But yeah, the deltaproject.com and then my IGs. That's the best way to find me.
And all that good stuff. We're out. Peace.
Peace, man. Take care.